Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this session. Today, I'm going to talk about generative AI for everyone. And also, I will share a few of my thoughts on people-centric AI. Even it is repetition, probably the first 8 minutes, I would like to share a few of my thoughts on what is this generative AI, why this has become so prominent in the last probably 1.5 years. Okay. So, with that note, I would like to share the definition what I have given here. Generative AI is a form of artificial intelligence that learns from existing data. The data could be text or images or videos, so on and so forth, and create a new or original content like text again, images, music, software code, or some design concepts and all. So it is essentially a smart tool that transforms the learned information into novel. That means it's something new which probably you have not encountered in the past. So that means what? It is learning and again giving something new which doesn't exist. That means the generation. So what it generates? It generates text, it generates images, it generates music, it generates software code, it can generate even the material properties, it can generate 3D models, whatnot, right? All these things called generative AI. As I mentioned earlier, look at what are the tasks in general the generative AI models perform. So one is the machine translation. That means you can translate from one language to another language, Telugu to Hindi, English, or Japanese, vice versa. All right. So the machine translation is one of the very important features of generative AI. The second one is text summarization. You might have given probably 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 words. Then that text can be summarized into probably one page, which is covering the salient features of that particular text message. It is a text summarization is possible. Then question and answering, because the generative AI models are trained on the vast data sets, it can answer whatever the question you give in the areas which it got trained. Okay, some of the generative AI models are specifically trained on a particular industry. Okay, then you can create some creative content. That means you can generate videos, you can generate audios, and I'm sure you have seen the generative AI tools like ChatGPT and Write Sonic or Gemini. All these things are DAL-E. These things are helping you to generate very creative content. That means the marketing activities can be very simplified. Some of the generative AI tools are even generating the code, the software code. If you give the text, so I want to have this type of website. I want to have a menu like this or headers like this and all. All those things can be easily translated to the code by the generative AI models. Okay. Other interesting thing that some of the generative AI models also help you to predict what type of material properties we can have. That means some of the generative AI models are trained on different material properties. Probably I would like to have a material of very lightweight. It has to withstand the temperature at this scale, and it also should withstand some of the other environmental factors like avoid rusting and all. Then automatically the generative AI tools can give the best material property combinations because it is trained like that in the past on different material properties. It knows okay for which condition probably which type of material properties might help. Then scientific discovery, even some of the generative models, AI models are emerging, where it can even suggest for a particular disease what type of molecular structure helps in discovering a new drug. So a lot of research is happening in that space. Okay. Then you can generate a lot of synthetic data. It is very difficult to simulate whether it is a robo or whether it is a software code. So different scenarios where the cyber security vulnerabilities or threats can be simulated. Generative AI models can generate some of these simulations and help you to test the vulnerabilities. Okay, and robotics can be integrated with the generative AI model so that when robo is there, there might be a screen and then you can really operate like any other desktop applications, right? I think these are all the key tasks performed by generative AI models. The generative AI is different from traditional AI, and which probably not the scope for our discussion today. So in the generative AI, especially there are two types of models are there. So one is the foundation model, and second is large language models, LLMs. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, it can have natural language understanding, natural language generation, machine translations, one language to another language, text summarization, question answering, all the points what I mentioned. If it is a foundation model, usually it is beyond text. It supports all other tasks as mentioned left side. But if it is large language models, mostly they are for content and text. And also for specific specialized tasks, the large language models are trained. But foundation model is more of not much of specific, they are generic. Okay. GPT-4 could be a foundation model. Okay. So some of the I think very interesting facts. Can you generate your own foundation model or large language models? Yes, you can do it, but you have to understand, of course, at the scale of GPT-4 or Gemini, it might be very difficult for organizations like small organizations like us. Look at here for GPT-4, it is only from unknown source. I cannot certify this data, but I think more or less it might be right. But understand the whole message I'm trying to give here is the intensity of the load. Look at here. GPUs used to train GPT-4, approximately 25,000 NVIDIA A100 GPUs. It got trained 90 to 100 days, and they used 3,125 servers and 1.7 trillion parameters. And estimated electricity consumption during these 90 to 100 days, 51 to 62 giga kilowatt hours. Okay, so like that, this is what the intensity of a foundation model or a large language model. Can we develop this? Very difficult, but we can leverage this and develop on the top of this your own data sets you can use and train these models to bring that specialization. That's called fine tuning. Okay, so but of course we don't need to always develop large language models. You can develop small language models for a specific task, then you don't need this many GPUs or servers and parameters. Okay, so the other interesting thing in the generative AI model is the prompt engineering. That means garbage in, garbage out. Any generative AI, it generates the outcome or output based on what you give. What you give is called a prompt. You need to give a prompt to Chat GPT, which is built on GPT-4, or you need to give a prompt to Gemini, okay, which is built on other foundation models, Gemini Ultra, Gemini Nano, and all. So, like that, there are so many generative AI tools, as I mentioned earlier, right? Sonic, okay, that is again, it can generate you blogs, social media content. Jasper is another generative AI model, and all. For all these things, what you have to acquire the best skill and knowledge is what is a better way to give a prompt to this. The prompt is the heart of generative AI models. If your prompt is weak and whatever you are giving, prompt is nothing but your query or your message, what you are asking the generative AI model. As per the prompt, you get the response. If the prompt is high quality prompt, then you get a high quality outcome. So I tried, based on my experience, a sort of what you call a syntax. I try to design. If you want to give a prompt, okay, look at chat GPT or Gemini, for example. So you probably need to have all these left side parameters. Okay, so what is the purpose of you come to this generative AI tool? Okay, what is the context? That means whether you are mentoring an employee, whether you are negotiating with a partner, whether you want to interact with a customer, or it is a particular geography or industry, or it is for a function or a domain like finance or HR and all. You need to be clear about context in the prompt. Then you need to also be clear about what is the role you expect that generative AI tool to play. Okay, then what is that you're looking for? You are looking for a marketing plan or a business model, website layout, social media content, SEO keywords, so on and so forth. You have to be clear about the instruction what you are looking for. Then who is your target audience, right? That means the age, gender, religion, and target audience, you have to be very clear. Then which format you want to get the output, whether you want in a table format or a paragraph, numbered or bulleted or a narrative or a dialogue, and different ways, right? And the tone, you want a polite tone or you want a convincing tone or a warning or angry, frustrated, aggressive. Then mention, suppose if you want to have not a very lengthy response, you can say, okay, you break it here, then you continue. Give me an option to continue. Okay. Then you also need to give the boundary. It's not like a whole word, right? You can say, give me two ideas, give me three ideas, are not exceeding 200 words, something like that. Okay. You can also give some reference. Okay. If you want to create something, okay, I want to have like this, and please refer probably some best website available. Accordingly, I want to have the website layout. The reference websites are one, two, three, four, right? I think this is very, very important. So this is syntax. Okay, it is right, wrong. I'm not too much worried about it. Based on my understanding and extensive usage of these generative AI tools, you have to master in prompt, and this is the syntax. So I have to try to give the syntax is translated to an example. Look at here: purpose, context, role, whom, format, tone, and all. Then that total syntax is translated to a prompt like this. So this is the prompt I have now to get an eco-friendly marketing strategy for a new eco-friendly clothing line focusing on customer interaction within the fashion industry and all. Then you get an excellent output. Okay. Similar thing for images. The image prompt might be different from the text prompt, right? Image, you need to give the context, whether it is a location, whether you want a day, night, or firelight backgrounds. Then what is the mood, happy, angry, or a type of image, whether you want watercolor, sculpture, or digital art, or oil painting, and you want a landscape or portrait, or what is the color you want to have, and what is the result. We want a cartoonish or abstract, right? So based on this, again, I have given one example here. If you can go to Midjourney or DALL-E or Stable Diffusion type of generative AI tools, this will help you to get a better images. Okay, like this, you can have a syntax for videos, right? So this is very important for you to understand. Now, the today's topic is okay. You understand now what is generative AI and what is the purpose of this generative AI, the significance of prompt engineering. But what I'm trying to emphasize today is the artificial intelligence in general must be people centric. It's not like just simply you want to use it, but you don't care about people. In fact, you don't care about environment. That doesn't work. Today we are in fifth industrial revolution. Everything should be human and people centric, environmental friendly. So when I say the people centric artificial intelligence, what does it mean? I have to train in such a way if this it has to adhere to social norms and human values. When you ask something, if you look at even in chat gpt or Gemini, if I ask something like a crime, sex, and drugs or not, it will say sorry, I cannot give response in these areas which is against my trained data sets or policies, right? So that means when you train these generative AI models with the bad data, bad intention, then it will behave like that. So that means you have to ensure that the people-centric generative AI models have to be trained with ensure that it adhere to the social norms and human values. Then you have seen so many news items. If suppose if any Afro-American or maybe other skinned images are given, some of the generative AI models have given a very biased responses, right? So the AI models have to be very much trained on different probably colors or creed or regions or geographies or accent. So many aspects to be considered. Otherwise, it will give you a biased response. Then it is not called a people-centric AI, right? And the generative AI models also needs to give confidence. That means the people who are training that, yes, my data, whatever I give to this in the form of the prompt or in the form of document upload or image upload or video upload, that has to be secured and my privacy needs to be safeguarded. Then it is called people-centric AI, right? And also the people centricity come into picture. It's not like blindly you develop in such a way without any regulatory policies and all, it can just simply remove all the jobs. No. So you have to really look at it as an evolutionary. So and you have to ensure the human angle in such a way. Yes, the generative AI creates new jobs and also removes the existing jobs. So we have to ensure the generative AI also help in augmenting the human abilities to prepare for the future. And the generative AI tools also needs to ensure that it creates a positive impact on society in terms of how it helps to improve education and learning, how it helps to increase the health, or how it will help to maintain that environmental sustainability, right? I think all these things, if I encapsulate, that is called a people-centric artificial intelligence. It's very important for all of us as a responsible executives or professionals. When we prepare traditional or generative AI models, they have to be people centric and they should not harm the human beings or the society. That is very, very important. Then, when I say generative AI for all, that means it should be democratic, right? That means what? When I say generative AI for all, okay, it is very complex and very difficult to learn, then that is not for all, right? So that means whenever you develop generative AI models and applications on the top of that, they must be easy to learn and easy to use. People should not get confused. Then it is democratic and it should be affordable. It's not like you have to pay some $100 or $20 per month and all. Then it is very difficult for common people to access it. They cannot afford. So we have to always look at how the generative AI models can be affordable in the common people perspective. Okay. Then it also needs to cover the broader audience. It's not like just it covers one sect of the audience and completely ignore other sect of the audience. Then it is not for all, right? It should cover women, it should cover age, and it should, I mean, gender, age, and then geography, so on and so forth. Then it also must be a companion and an assistant, the generative AI. Then only it is for all, right? I think these are all very, very important messages I would like to convey today. So, people centric AI and also the democratic AI means it is for all. It should not create a digital divide, it should not create a gap between who knows and have the access to generate AI and who doesn't have the access to generate AI. Then we are doing the harm to the society and people. Generative AI must be for all, and governments and other, I think, the institutions have to also invest in such a way the common people also get access to this generative AI. Okay, then few of the examples I would like to give today. When I say generative AI for all, then one important example I say, can generative AI tools or applications make an ordinary person extraordinary? That is a key question. An ordinary person who doesn't have much expertise or skills become an extraordinary with the aid of generative AI? Yes, it can. They can, right? Look at here, for example, an amateurs can create a complex, abstract, or photorealistic work simply by typing a few words into text box. You just go and try. I don't have time to show all these demos, Midjourney or DAL-E. You just need to give your concept. That's it. I want to have an image with a beautiful lake with birds and then trees at the bank of the river and somebody is sitting with a relaxed face. Please give me, right? Then Dali can give an excellent image. Creative arts can be created by a person like me who doesn't have the creative arts ability. I'm a common person, right? But I will also look at something interesting here at Colorado State Fair's fine art competition. The generative AI tool generated, that's I think Midjourney, it got the first prize. Okay. Of course, the person who created using Midjourney has transparently shared the image is generated using this generative AI tool. That means, look at here how a ordinary person can create an extraordinary. What you have to learn to give the best prompt. That's it. Learn to give the best prompt, you get a best creative arts, right? That's one thing. The next is, it's very difficult for some of the people, even they have so many ideas in their mind. They want to write a movie script, they want to write a blog, they want to write an article, okay, or narratives or a poetry, but they are not able to write. But they have some thoughts in their mind which they want to put it in the form of a prompt, a very simple text. So I want to have something like a poetry which gives me an excellent feeling when that poetry I read in this context, in this background, etc., etc., etc. Some of the generative AI tools will give you beautiful poetry. narratives, even a movie script it will give you. You can write the content, right? So I think writing and content creation, a common person with who mastered in the prompt engineering or giving a best prompt can create poetry. But of course you have to always mention that this is generated by a generative AI tool and all, so that it's not like something you wrote it yourself, right? You have written it with your prompt with the support of the generative AI tools. It is always better to be transparent, to tell that this particular poetry, based on my idea, my thought process, generated by Chat GPT or Bard or Write Sonic or Soundwrite or Story AI, something like that, right? So this is the second important example. An ordinary person can create extraordinary content. Okay. Then I'm an entrepreneur because I'm very new. I don't know how to create the business plans. I don't know how to create the marketing content. And also, I'm not having too much of the budget to have a very big help desk teams for other services and all. Generative AI can do wonderful job. With limited resources, an ordinary person can really create an extraordinary plans. Could be business plan or a marketing content, social media flyers and all. You need not worry about it. Beautiful flyers can be generated, beautiful content can be generated. Just to give, and I always say, engineering language. If you're an engineer, then it will give you wonderful key messages in the marketing, customer friendly language, right? Jasper is another great example which will help you to create such type of content. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell here is generative AI for all, or people-centric generative AI, must help for the common people to perform, or an ordinary person to perform extraordinary things. I have given only a few examples here. Okay, next is another important thing I told. A people-centric AI or generative AI for all means it must create social impact, which is very, very important, right? So what is the social impact here? One important, I believe social impact means, at this juncture, I would like to emphasize on education and learning, how the generative AI will help, healthcare, how the generative AI will help, environment and sustainability, how the generative AI will help. I'm sure you agree with me. This is the greatest part of social impact, right? So let us look at now education and learning. I'm a teacher. I have very limited time. Do you think generative AI can do something great? Yes, it can create lesson plans. It can create quizzes. I am surprised. I created multiple choice questions, essay questions, fill in the blank questions. I think in any topic you ask, in the context of what you want, it can create the education material, right? So I think the generative AI tools really help the teachers to prepare very well as a companion. Okay, so it will change. Even I don't know any topic or a subject which is something new for me as a teacher, I don't need to read too much on the internet. I can go and ask generative AI tools, give me this concept, what is this and all, right? Another interesting thing you can try is Wolfram Alpha for computation knowledge. You ask any mathematical question and it will solve. It's wonderful. Actually, the students can even try, the teachers can try. So, if any complex problem you are not able to solve, this computational knowledge platform, which is a generative AI tool, you give the question a complex mathematics problem, it will solve. As I mentioned, the Jasper, which will create the content for your courses, a wide range of content can be generated. So it can be used for case studies and all. But students should not cheat these teachers, because they have to be transparent. They have to use these tools to help to improve their knowledge than just simply taking from that and copying and giving it. Then I think you are fooling yourself and cheating yourself. Then the other thing is, if you give a concept and want the students to learn that concept, then you can give that to Midjourney or DALI. Then it can generate an image to translating your concept into a visual representation that can be shared with the students. As a teacher, you can share that. Then they can understand better the visual aspect of the concept. Right? I think generative AI tools are going to transform the education and learning. Okay. Then, when coming to the healthcare, generative AI tools are coming pretty prominently. And it started, I don't think there are so many available today, but it can analyze the patient data. I can upload probably a PDF document or image, and then automatically the generative AI tool can analyze, and then it can also recommend what could be the better healthcare plan for you, right? I think that's a wonderful thing, and it just started. Then sometimes what happens is, if you want to have a particular situation, what could be the better recommendation, then you can create some simulated data, that is called a synthetic data, because you may not get the data of all situations. Okay, if this is within this range or not within this range, for example the healthcare data you take, but that can be generated hypothetically using a synthetic data generation tools like Syntegra. Okay. The other one very interesting thing, if you look at in the life sciences industry, in silico medicine, this design a novel molecules to identify what could be the potential therapeutic targets for a wide range of diseases. Google is investing a lot on MedPalm 2. It is like Gemini and ChatGPT, which are more of a generic, not very specific to a particular industry. But Google trained their models on Palm 2 to make it very healthcare specific generative AI. It can give you an extraordinary, everything is technical there, domain. Okay, all the medical related terminology, questions, answers, summarizations, clinical documentation. The generative AI tool, the doctor can speak, then it can automatically translate whatever he speaks into a clinical document. All those things are possible in the healthcare, right? The next is environmental sustainability. So generative AI tools are slowly coming up. I think still in the nascent stage. So it's very, very important now to use these generative AI tools. For example, you can, as I mentioned earlier, you can suggest the material properties for a particular component which can be environmental friendly. Generative AI tools can give, okay, these properties probably will help you. This will help you so that with these properties that could be a biodegradable, or it could consume the less energy during production. Okay, generative AI tools are intelligent enough for a particular situation what type of materials can be used so that they can consume less resources, they will have a less impact on environment. Okay, and other interesting thing, you can also have 3D models of forests and oceans using some of the tools like NVIDIA. These are all still upcoming. They are not still mature, but you understand the power. In a generative AI, in the past, after all, I'm from mechanical engineering. We used to have CAD CAM, Unigraphics, or CAD Spy, and all. Those models we used to create ourselves. Very complex, right? But today I can give a text prompt. I want this situation, this context, and all. Give me 3D model. Automatically, a 3D model will be generated. Autodesk is there. Okay, so then you can of course fine tune it and all. Okay, I think this is another very interesting thing, environmental sustainability. So what I suggested, an ordinary person can do extraordinary things and generate using generative AI, and generative AI can also create an extraordinary social impact in the education, learning, environmental sustainability, and healthcare. Okay, so with this context, I would like to emphasize one important point. A lot of people ask me a question, okay, if all these things are done by these generative AI tools, what is going to happen to the people? How many jobs will be lost? So, what is the future looks like, right? So, certainly, while generative AI enhances human abilities, capabilities, as I mentioned, it also significantly affects existing job roles. Okay, that means you have to learn some new skills. You have to prepare for new roles in this generative AI era for you to be relevant. For example, these roles are in great trouble: content creation, technical writing, journalism. Okay, paralegals, that means who supports the legal advocates for doing some research and analysis and all. Today generative AI tools are coming in the legal also. They can go through millions of documents, the past judgments. It can give an executive summary. Why you need to go through hundreds of documents, right? So generative AI tools are going to play a very vital role in the legal industry. So those jobs are in trouble. Market research analysts will be in trouble. Teachers, I think they have to complement and learn and work together with the generative AI tools. Otherwise, if they don't understand this using of the generative AI tools, they'll be outdated. Okay, then personal financial advisors. So now, as I mentioned, Form 2 Med, which is a generative AI tool trained on healthcare data. You will have generative AI tool specifically trained on financial data, and it can really advise you what will the better stock to be invested, right? Then customer services. So many customers jobs are being now replaced with chat bots and all these things, right? Speech writers. And in the past, if you want to have, for example, voiceover for a video, you have to spend money, right? Today, you can subscribe to some tools, and they can simply have an excellent voiceover for the text what you give. You don't need language translators. You don't need, I give a German document, automatically generative AI tool will give me in English. I remember when I was working in my companies like TCS, Infear, Tech Mahindra, Satyam and all, we used to get RFP from German language, then we have to have somebody to translate it to English. We don't need that, right? And now the software code at the lower end is generated. So unless you as a software developer learn how to generate the code using that GitHub Copilot or something, another generative AI tool, you will be outdated. Okay. I think these jobs are in trouble. Then new jobs are creating. That is a good news, right? When old jobs are going away, so you will have a new role called questioner and interrogator. Maybe a prompt engineer who can question and interrogate. Okay, you can be a chart bot, a script writer. Okay, a chatbot quality analyst. That means you have to check the quality of the content generated. So, because it's not right always that the content generated by the generative AI tools are right. Okay, you need to have the quality analysts and you need to have the content moderators. That means if this is generating something not in line with the social norms or human values, somebody needs to intervene and say that no, that's not what I want, and you have to be very careful and you have to rewrite it or something like that. So social media AI content creator. So that is a special skill you have to a new role. That means you don't need to write yourselves, right? You have to give the context and a prompt. You can ask the generator a blog article, but you have to give a content creation specialist like this. Okay. Then, okay, all others are, I think, trainers and machine learning engineers, so on and so forth. So there are new roles are getting created. The old roles, as of now, some roles are getting impacted. But when in the next 4 5 years, when generative AI becoming more and more, in my view, it is going to impact the engineering and research industry tremendously in the next 4 to 5 years. Okay, I don't need somebody to have an extraordinary engineer to create a 3D model, but I need an extraordinary guy to review the 3D model generated by the generative AI. Okay, that means more and more the review, inspection, and correction verification roles will come because the base content or base models are created by generative AI tools. Okay, I think that's it for today. So to summarize, today I talk about in general what is generative AI models and what type of capabilities it has, what is the essence of the prompt engineering. Then I also talked about people-centric AI or people-centric generative AI, and then what is the generative AI for all? That means the democratic generative AI. Then I also talk about how generative AI is basically can help make an ordinary person and extraordinary, how it is going to create social impact in terms of making the education, learning, healthcare, environmental sustainability effective using these generative AI tools. Having said that, I also caution there will be new roles created, new jobs will be created, some of the existing jobs will be in trouble. You also need to prepare yourself to be relevant in this fifth industrial revolution. Thank you so much.